Okay, everybody, I'm pale, rested, and ready. It's time for Vegas Weekly. Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Weekly for Saturday, June 26, 2021. It's been a big week in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about that. Got a couple of news items besides the elephant in the room. We have a guest mixologist this week. PJ is on vacation. And I'm going to have a short, really, it's going to be short, I promise, primer on comps. We talked about it in depth, I think last year or the year before. One of the most popular shows. But it is a classic Vegas tip, and we're going to cover that on today's show. Obviously, the big news story in Las Vegas this past week was the announcement that the Excalibur Buffet would be reopening. Okay, that probably wasn't the big news story in Las Vegas this week, but the Excalibur Buffet is reopening. I don't know, color me kind of shocked by this whole process. As we were hoping there would be some sort of buffets coming back to Vegas, in the near future. I think the thought was it was going to mostly be these sort of super premium buffets. And that was initially what we saw. Places like Cosmopolitan, Caesar's Palace, Wynn. That was the places we were expecting to see buffets come back. But not really in that sort of budget category. And so far now we've got Circus, we have got MGM Grand, and now we've got Excalibur. So I don't know quite what the logic is here. I'm wondering whether part of it is simply the fact that you could run a buffet and serve a lot of people without employing a lot of people. Right now there seems to be a major crunch in the service industry of just getting people to take the job and come to work. And that's impacting the hours at various bars and restaurants and impacting the level of service. So I'm thinking maybe some of these places are going to the buffet simply because it's a little bit easier. You don't have nearly as many servers that you're dealing with. So maybe that's part of it. But in any case, starting July 1, you can go to the Excalibur Buffet or you can go to the Wynn Buffet. You decide. Excalibur Buffet is going to be a lot cheaper. I think it's, starts in at around $20-25. So if you're in the neighborhood and you're having a hankering for a lot of different food, it was remodeled fairly recently around 2015. It's probably, better than it used to be. I don't know. I haven't been there. I've never been there. I've walked by. So maybe I'll have to check it out my next trip. Another story we heard about, actually it's been a little over a week that they announced that the Mirage would be closing down Rum Bar. That sort of outdoor patio lounge with a emphasis on sort of that Caribbean feel, sort of rum, cigars, that kind of thing. Always seemed to be kind of a really cool space. Again, I never actually went there. I thought about it. Seems like it would be a fun place, or would have been a fun place to hang out with a few friends on a hot afternoon. They have the little misters going and everything. Beautiful setting. But starting July 25th, it is no more. The Mirage is going to pour a lot of money into turning it into some kind of ultra lounge. And suddenly the word ultra lounge is back again. It seems like ultra lounges were a thing 15 or 20 years ago, but apparently they're coming back. And boy, I'm so excited to see that. But so it'll be interesting to see. That's a great location, obviously, a great setting. So we will see what the Mirage and the MGM people do with that property. A sad note for Vegas sports fans this week. Just this past Thursday night, the Vegas Golden Knights were eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs by the Montreal Canadiens on the road in overtime, and so the Golden Knights season is over, but once again an exceptional year for them. Okay, so let's talk briefly, and I do mean briefly, about the opening of Resorts World. It took place on Thursday night around 10, 11 o'clock, I think. I don't know. I went to sleep but a lot of people didn't go to sleep. You follow me on Twitter, I retweeted a post by Vegas Visual earlier this week, yesterday, well actually earlier today, because I'm recording this on Friday, of all the different vloggers who went live or recorded something at Resorts World for the opening, and it was going on for hours before the opening and hours after the opening. I'm pretty sure if you start in tonight, Friday night, and just keep watching, you could probably watch nonstop through the entire weekend. It looks like a beautiful property. It looks like they had an enormous turnout of people. The Hiltons were there. Paris Hilton was there. That's hot. So, like I said, you can find God only knows how many vlogs out there. Just search for Resorts World. I am going to post a link to one that I watched earlier today because it was like 7 or 8 minutes long. It's from our friend Cinnamon Girl. And I thought she did a really nice job. Not a lot of narration. She's basically walking around and showing you what she's seeing inside the casino and some of the other public spaces there. And it does look very cool. And like I said, it's a great little introduction. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes to see it. And it is a beautiful property. It should be a beautiful property. They spent like, what, $4 billion on it. It's like the most expensive hotel ever. It should be a beautiful property. Genting and Hilton are both companies with a reputation for doing quality work. So that's not really surprising. There seems to be an enormous number of shops and eateries on the site, including a lot of sort of fast, I won't say fast food, but sort of street food, casual eateries where you can grab something and go. There is a kind of a Asian theme to it, but it's pretty marginal, I would say. But it, it featured the usual Vegas celebrities and the usual fireworks and the usual lineups and congestion everywhere. There were people that waited hours and hours to get into the property, and apparently it's still pretty busy today. The parking situation not so great, but hey, a lot of folks checked it out. So if you want to see what's going on at Resorts World, check out one of those vlogs, or the one that I'm going to post the link to is a good one to start. And at that point, I'm sure that Google and YouTube will recommend another 57 of them if you'd like to watch even more. But I do look forward to seeing it on my next visit. It's looking like a really cool property. I signed up for their Players Club, and they've been very generous to offer me 10% off the rack rate. So, hey, it's something, right? But I don't expect I'll be staying there anytime soon. We have not seen the rooms. I haven't seen any room tours yet, but there may be some up by the time you see this recording on Saturday. I'm sure there's going to be a number of people staying there, and I'm sure you'll see a number of room tours, probably of all 3 of the Hilton properties on site. But it really is the first full-on new property on the Las Vegas Strip in over a decade. I believe the last hotel to open was Cosmopolitan. It certainly had a heck of a run, but it has a great location. Resorts World, maybe not so much, tucked in between the Encore and Circus. It's you gotta kind of go out of your way to get there. So hopefully for the Resorts World people, the company, and the people who work there, and the north end of the Strip in general, hopefully people will flock to Resorts World, and we'll see a revival on the north end of the Strip. So anyway, that's the major news events of the day. That means it's time for our cocktail of the week. And as I mentioned, PJ is not with us today. We have a very special guest star today, actually 2, because there's a brief appearance by one of the 2 members of the team. Ernie and Mo have a YouTube channel, which I will also post a link to in the show notes below, that I encourage you to check out. They haven't done a lot on the channel yet, but I know they're interested in building and growing their channel. Mo was kind enough to send in this submission for what looks to me like a really tasty beverage. And so we will send it to her with this week's cocktail of the week.
Hey JR, thank you so much for having me be your guest bartender this week. We look forward to seeing PJ back next week. And I'm Coach Mo. For those of you who don't know who I am the other half of Ernie and Mo on the Go. And today I'm going to make a spiked lemonade ginger beer. I love mules. Mules are typically served in a copper mug, which I love, copper mugs. But today, since it's like a lemonade, I might put it in a glass. And since I already have my ice in everything here, we're gonna get started so it doesn't melt real fast. So the first thing that you want is a good lemonade. I like organic lemonade made with real sugar. And you could make your own lemonade. Shake it real good. But that, that takes too much time when you just really want to get the drink in. You want to put 4 ounces of your lemonade, but I feel like I should measure that out. I gotta put my glasses on. I cannot see a thing without these glasses. So I have this cute little measuring cup here. So we want 4 ounces. So that would be 2 of these. And it's very heavy. It's very heavy. So 4 ounces of the lemonade. It smells good already. Let's put the lid on because we don't want to make a mess or he'll come home and I'll have to clean it up. Because I ain't got time for that either. I just want to make my drinks and drink them. All right, so 4 ounces of your lemonade. Then you want to add your ginger beer. And you want to add about half the bottle. So this is a 12-ounce bottle. I love ginger beer. A lot of people don't really care for ginger beer. I'm not really sure why. It did take me a while to get used to it, but I kind of like it. So you're adding half the bottle. You're adding 6 ounces of the ginger beer to your drink. I'm not really going to measure that out. But we're going to keep some room here. Whoops. For the best part of the drink. Now I'm using vodka today. This is my favorite vodka. You can also use tequila if you wanted to. Gives it a nice little kick. And like I said, typically I like to drink my mules out of a copper mug. And there's really a cute story with the copper mug. A woman named Sophia Brown from 1941 was sent to the United States for she was sent to the United States because her family made copper mugs and they weren't selling them in Moscow. So her dad told her to go to the United States and go sell these copper mugs. So she comes over here with her husband. And she tries and she tries and she tries and she can't sell these copper mugs. Nobody wants copper mugs. And her husband says, these got to go today. Like you got one more day. Get them out of here. I'm tired of seeing them in the house. So she goes out to a bar, a local pub. And the name of the pub was the Cock and Bull Pub. And there was a man named Jack Martin that had just started his own ginger beer. And then there was another gentleman, and I can't remember his name, who bought the Smirnoff Company. And those 2 guys were friends. So she stops into this pub, meets these guys, and they sit around, and that's how the Moscow Mule was created. Which I think is a really cool story. That this woman just went out there, and she was going to sell them mugs. And now I get to enjoy a fun drink in a copper mug. So I'm going to stir this up a little bit here. It's a nice lemonade. And I think I'm going to taste it now. I should probably taste it because, you got to taste your... Hi, honey. What are you doing here? Hi.
Ooh, lemonade.
What?
Thank you.
Ooh,
that's good.
Is that, yeah.
See you later.
Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to go make my own now. I'm gonna make my own in my little copper mug, and I think I'm gonna put more. Oh my goodness. What the heck, man? So I'm gonna put more vodka in mine than he had in his. I think that's what's gonna happen here. Look at my drink. So this recipe will make for 2 to 4 servings, 2 servings. If you double it, you'll make 4. If you just want to have all 4 yourself, you can. You can have friends over or whatever. And then, of course, well, he left too soon. But you get a cute little garnish. I love lime. I love limes in my mules. And I'm going to put a little lemon in there too. And we're going to mix it up. So I hope you enjoyed this little recipe. I had fun doing this. Thank you, John, so much. I will see you guys in October. Cheers. Wow, that is good. That's very good. All right, thanks so much for watching. Back to you, JR. I've always wanted to say that.
Okay, Coach Mo, thanks so much for filling in for PJ this week. I also developed quite a taste for a mule, the Moscow Mule, specifically on my last trip to Vegas. I may have had one or two too many. Those of you who observed the Frontiersman's long-lost live stream that I was a big part of that night will see the after effects of the Moscow Mule. But yeah, kind of a fun variation on that. So like I said, check out the link to Coach Mo and Ernie's channel in the show notes below. Be sure to subscribe to them and see what they've got coming up in the months and years to come. All right. So today we're going to do another little thing on comps. I'm watching a clock on the bottom of the screen. In just a few moments, it's going to go to the top of the hour. I'm going to do this in 5 minutes. Okay, people ask all the time, how do you get free stuff from the casino? How do you get free play? How do you get free rooms? How do you get free food? Well, it's very simple. You have to gamble. You have to spend some money. So how does that work? Well, the casino is not going to assume that you're spending a bunch of money just because you happen to be in the property or because they see you sitting in a machine or playing for a while. They track electronically all of your play. So the only way you're going to get any free stuff is to make sure that your play is properly tracked. That means going to the Players Club booth. If you don't know where it is, I can guarantee you that 99% of the people working there and probably 70% of the people gambling there know where it is. Make sure you get a player's card. You'll simply need some form of identification, and they will give you a little plastic card about the same size as a credit card. You should use this card any time you gamble. If you play a machine, there will be a slot into which you can insert the card. You should make sure that the card is accepted. Typically, a little green light will come on and it will welcome you and say, hello, John, you have X number of points. First off, don't worry about how many points you have or how many comp dollars you have, because we're not trying to figure out how to get the most comps. We're trying to figure out how to get free stuff for the play we were already going to do. If you play table games, again, if you're playing at a really low level, they may not want to track your play, but certainly if you're playing $15, $25 or more a hand, definitely make sure that the pit boss is recording your play, takes your card, etc., etc. And based upon that, they will comp you a certain amount of stuff. They will use something called an average daily theoretical. And the average daily theoretical is going to be based on the amount of money that you put at risk. Not the amount of money you lose, but the amount of money you run through the machine or the number of bets times the size of your bet. So if you play $25 a hand at blackjack and you play 40 hands, you put $1,000 at risk. Even if you didn't lose that money, you might have won a lot of money. You might have ultimately lost your stake, whatever it was. But in any case, you put $1,000 at risk. You might do the same thing at a video poker machine. You might play $2.50 a hand, and you might play, in that case, 400 hands of video poker, which is pretty easy to do in an hour and a half. Very easy to do, and you've also put $1,000 at risk. You might play $2 a spin on a slot machine, and again, you do 500 spins. You probably do that in an hour. Again, you put $1,000 at risk. So they look at the money you put at risk and the return on the particular game you're playing. If you're playing slots, they might expect to win 10% of whatever you put at risk. You may only have a 90% return to the player. If you're playing blackjack, it might be more like 95 to 98%. The same thing with video poker. So depending upon the game you play and the amount you risk at that game, the casino is going to come up with what they call an average daily theoretical. It's going to be based on your play over the course of time. So if you play a lot one day and you don't play anything the next day, or very little the next day, they're going to average that out. Okay, so they get the average daily theoretical. Let's say your average daily theoretical turns out to be $500. Typically, they will give you back in the form of some kind of comps between 25 and 40, 50%. Mostly it's towards the low end of that, maybe a fourth to a third of what they think you're going to lose in the long run. They will give back to you in the form of free play or comps that you can use to eat at a particular restaurant or stay in the hotel. Now, those points are not going to be all that you get as far as comps. The big one that you'll want to get, particularly if you're visiting from out of town, is room comps. You may not know about that until you've come back from Vegas and you start to get offers in the mail or in the email. And so that's what you want to do. To maximize your room offers or any comps, make sure you're concentrating your play. If you like to play at the Wynn, the Venetian, and the Mirage, and you'd like to stay at one of those properties, don't spend $100 at each property on 3 consecutive days. Spend $300 one day at Mirage, one day at Venetian, one day at Wynn. That way they will see your play as bigger than it really is. Even Mark Anderson's done it, and he's gotten free rooms at nice places. You can too. But remember, you have to have a card, you have to make sure your play is tracked, and you have to be careful about how you play, where you play, and how much you play. And that is pretty much exactly 5 minutes. We'll follow up a little more on some comp issues and questions. If you have any questions about comps, leave them in the show notes below, and I will try to answer them on next week's show, because we're going to kind of do a follow-up on our short comps segment. So hopefully that's helpful for those of you who are very new to Las Vegas and very new to playing and getting your play tracked. I still see vloggers, people I know, in some cases people I like, that still are not using their Players Club card. And I'm just like blown away. I'm not naming any names, but I've seen it. So there may be occasional times that you don't want to use your card. I'll talk about that for sure next week, but that's going to pretty much wrap up this segment on Vegas tips. Is making sure you're getting the proper return from the casinos on your play is a big part of doing Vegas the right way. That almost rhymed, didn't it? All right. We'll be back this Wednesday with some variation on the Wednesday show. We might do a field trip again this week. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to think of some good places to take you all. And hopefully it's not raining as it is right now, because I'm not going on a field trip if it's raining. But anyway, we'll have something fun for you. Maybe some more statistics about my trips to Vegas. People seem to actually like those. And of course, we'll be back again next Saturday, another episode of Vegas Weekly. Until then, I hope that you all have a great, lucky, and healthy week, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.